Big week for the Montreal Canadiens signing first Jordan Harris, but now, 4 days later, Joshua Roy is officially a member of the Montreal Canadiens, signing an ELC contract of 3 years. And we are diving deep today in another Let's Watch series of Habs Prospects Espoirs. Join alongside me is Justin. My name is Mackie. Missing Alex. Together we make the No Respect podcast. And folks, if you like Habs content, you have stumbled upon the right channel. All right, folks, let's get into it. Joshua Roy, if you have some time, immediately type what you're feeling right now. But let's start here, Justin, with the contract.
Yeah, I mean, he signed for 3 years, entry-level deal, pretty standard kind of entry-level deal. He's also second in the queue in scoring right now, which is pretty exciting.
Yes.
He was a fifth-round pick, so having a top scorer in the queue as a fifth-round pick is pretty much a steal, by any sense of the word. But yeah, I don't know. Do you want me to get into the actual numbers of the contract? But
Let's get into the actual numbers of the player. So this is where you were right. It's a fifth-round pick for the Montreal Canadiens, and this was under the Timmins regime. I don't know if I should call it a regime, but you know what I'm saying. But this is a prospect that is slightly coming out of nowhere. So the numbers that he had, he was still a decent prospect, had sharing his time with the St. John Sea Dogs last year and Sherbrooke Phoenix, where he played for 35 games. So I think there was a little bit of an injury problem there with Joshua Roy. Roast me if I'm completely mistaken there, but he still put up, a good amount of goals, but nothing compared to this year where he is just tearing it up in the queue with the Sherbrooke Phoenix. So, I mean, we can maybe start there is the drastic difference between the Joshua Roy of last season and the one that we're seeing this season. And even in camp, I don't know if you remember his showing at camp, but he kind of turned some heads.
yeah, I mean, I don't quite remember him that much from camp, to be quite honest with you. But I mean, one thing that I'll roast you about right now is the reason that there's so few games last year was actually because of COVID. So I don't think he had any injuries, well, any significant injuries last year. But it's another thing that we're kind of seeing now, that like some prospects who we picked, we don't necessarily know because of COVID, like how they're developing, because they're playing less, because they don't have as many opportunities. So there might be some more kind of picks like this throughout the NHL that come out of nowhere, kind of. So
Well,
hopefully,
Sean Farrell comes to. Yeah, sorry, not to interject too much there, but Sean Farrell comes to mind, and this was one of, if there was any positive when it comes to COVID and hockey and drafting, that's the only thing I'm saying here, is that there was higher potential for stealing, and this one here in Joshua Roy seems to be that type of player. And I did listen to an interview. We'll look at obviously the highlights. Maybe you want to play them right now, but the biggest difference in an interview that he did with TSN, if I'm not mistaken, and TSN 690, a phone interview, is that he was saying how the biggest difference between last year and this year was actually conditioning. Coming into this season, he really focused on dropping some weight. I'm a man who likes spaghetti and carbs and all of those things, so I can maybe take up that advice. And apparently a huge difference for him, because he dropped the weight and now is flying. And what I will say, I'm not like, we're not in depth like prospect, and again, that's why we're gonna call to you guys, if you are, in the comments section, what you guys know about Joshua Roy. But what I can say from watching this guy play in these highlights is nifty. If there was one word to say what this guy is nifty. Whether it be in shot release, IQ, the guy knows how to play hockey, and it's not necessarily like a wow factor everywhere, but he's very, very crafty player, and I think will be an effective skill player in the NHL, if I'm being perfectly honest. I don't know, what's your take on Joshua Roy?
yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. I think I've read some things talking about how good his playmaking is, his hockey IQ, his passing, his shot too. He has a dangerous shot. Things he kind of has to work on that I've read are his skating ability. He's not the fastest player. He's more of like the kind of sneaky Tyler Toffoli type that kind of just like does the right things offensively, but doesn't necessarily like explode into the offensive zone. And yeah, I mean, I think he's gonna be a good player, but I don't think he's the kind of flashy like Jonathan Drouin, like deking the whole team. He's more of like a smart offensive player who'll make some moves, but not necessarily like to just be the flashiest player, to do deeks just to do them. He does it kind of smartly.
Like, yeah, he's an effective, he's very,
he's efficient.
I want to say efficient and proficient was the words that I was thinking of. But, you're looking at the highlights right now. You see that the vision is there. And again, he doesn't have an all-world shot. It's mainly a question of how you use that shot. And for those of you who have played the game or watched the game and know the game, accuracy and picking your spots and knowing where the holes are usually more important than power, or else Martin Furk would probably be one of the top players in the NHL, right? With that 110-mile-an-hour slap shot. So we're talking about a guy that's got a good hockey sense. And you're right, though. I think this is something that can be said with a lot of prospects, is that skating is huge, and bringing that to the NHL and combining that, what makes Connor McDavid one of the best in the world, if not the best in the world, is his ability to do all of the crafty things that he does at the highest speed. And without speed, you're not going to make it in the NHL. As crafty as you are, you can get by, but as a centerman that Joshua Roy is, that's the one thing that I have a little bit of a worry in his game right now.
Yeah, I mean, the other things, obviously, like with young players, you talk about their defensive woes, kind of. That's something that's been brought up. Like he needs to work on his defensive game. But obviously, if he's a point getter, like you're not going to put too much. Like it doesn't really matter that much if you're getting a point per game. So, I mean, another thing that I read is that he has very good puck protection, which is good. Mm-hmm. Like he's good in the corners, good to keep the puck and to make a play. So I mean, it's all good things. Another thing is his size. Like he's 6 foot, 180 pounds or so. So he's like he's a mid-size player. He's not too big, not too small. So it's I mean, he is what he is. We'll see how it translates to the pro level. But right now he's fucking killing it in the queue.
He is. And, that's where I think we'll end today's video, looking at least some of these highlights. We were trying to take a look at something that was, combining everything that's happening this year. And unfortunately, there's nothing to be found, but want to thank Habs Prospect, which is a channel that we provided these videos. So check out his channel or her channel, their channel. Joshua Roy, 3 years with the Montreal Canadiens. Where do you guys see this guy fit? Who is his NHL comparable? I'm not going to lie. I see a little bit of that Nick Suzuki-esque type of player that's a little bit of like that, I don't know how defensively responsible it is, but in terms of flashiness, in terms of being just skilled at the game, I see it. I could be wrong. So tell me if we are. What do you see? Do you see anything? You, Justin?
Me? I mean, I kind of agree with that. I also saw that he quoted himself saying that he models his game after John Tavares. So if that turns out to be the case,
bad.
That's not bad.
Not bad. Hopefully you don't pay $11 million from him on free agency and he's part of the Leafs. But hey, Joshua Roy, a Montreal Canadiens, what do you guys think? The No Respect podcast. Leave us your thoughts. A subscription goes a long way, folks. But if not, go Habs go, and we'll see you in the next video.